Podcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Cruz and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Cruz and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes right here on Blog Talk Radio, where we broadcast live Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. We always welcome your questions, your calls, and your comments, and the phone number to call the studio is 347-857-3958. Again, that number is 347-857-3958. And guys, feel free to just log in. If you don't want to give us a phone call and you're too shy to talk on the phone, just log in right into Blog Talk and you can put your questions right in the chat room. And Stephen K., our producer, will be more than happy to make certain that we address your questions while we're live on the air. If you're watching us on our feed on cruzandhughes.com, you'll notice that I do not have our trusty co-host, Mr. Irvin Hughes, in the studio with us yet again today. We do have Bertrand McHenry, and I'm not going to butcher your name today, Bertrand. And Bertrand is the owner of a company called Referral Institute of Houston. And Bertrand, why don't you sort of give a quick synopsis on what you guys do at the Referral Institute?
Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely have a passion for teaching entrepreneurs how to develop entire customized referral marketing strategies that lead to a steady stream of personally recommended business.
It doesn't get any better than that. I think that's one of the reasons why we're in business is to have that steady stream of business coming in. And so you help to work so that we can manifest that in our business.
Yes.
And how could someone get in touch with you?
You can reach me at www.referalinstitutehouston.com, or you can call me at 281-401-9852.
Awesome. Well, you know, I'm excited to have you here, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come in and sit through the show with me and let me bounce things off of you and see if this material is worth anything.
Yeah, let's rock this.
But today I thought that we would sort of talk about, you know, how does it all begin? I mean, I have to ask you first. You were a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
At what point? Still salesperson, that's correct. But you were employed by someone at some particular time.
Right.
What point, when was your aha moment? When did you figure out that, you know what, I'm going to end up doing something for myself and not for whomever it is I'm selling for now?
Oh, I early.
Okay.
Because I could be great at sales, and I figured that out. And the way I was great at sales was finding out what my closing ratio was and then working my numbers. I heard Will Smith in an interview say a long time ago, somebody asked him, how is it that at such a young age you've produced so much film and been in so many roles and so much TV and so many albums? And he said, because I'm comfortable dying on the treadmill. And the guy said, what does that mean? And he said, it means that if there are two treadmills sitting side by side and you get on one and I get on one, we start running, only two things are going to happen. Either you're going to quit or I'm going to die. But
that's strong.
You're not going to beat me.
Wow, that is strong.
And I'm not quitting. So I realized I was really intimidated early on by these charismatic salespeople that I thought had all this talent. And I figured out early that it wasn't about talent. It was about work ethic. It was about chopping wood and carrying water, what we were talking about yesterday.
Absolutely.
Doing the same thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week that I'm going to do next week, that I'm going to do the week after that, just systematically, and it stacks up. But if you take 2 weeks off, you're going to suffer in 3 months.
That's right.
From that. So I got really great at that. I got really great at that system. And then I just started rankling a little bit over having authority over me. I did not like, I liked the autonomy up to a point of being an outside sales, but I needed to, there wasn't enough creative outlets for me.
Really?
I was doing someone else's work. I liked, entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, and it's not always about only making money. It's also about how do you express yourself in the marketplace. It's a creative expression. Building a business is not static. It's not boring. It's you pouring yourself into the marketplace, into your networks, creating something from mist.
And it's definitely plucked from air, as one of the terms that my mentor used to use. You know, I mean, he literally says that I pluck prosperity from the air.
Yeah.
I create it instantly. And running your own business truly is a masterpiece, and it's up to you in terms of what you create. And the thing that we like to do on this show is talk about some of the things that we've experienced, talk about the experiences of others that have inspired us.
Right.
We also talk about the experiences of others that we have interviewed on this show and how they created masterpieces. How did they take their businesses to the areas that many of us only dream about? Now, we're talking today from the standpoint of someone who's looking to get started. They know that they have that passion, just the way that you mentioned it. You know, I'm sort of, tired of the authority. I'm tired of not having full reign to express myself in the way that I feel that I'm capable. I want to do something, but I don't really know what I want to do. You know, and when I think about that, for myself, we have a guy that we've had on the show before. One of the things that he says is that, it doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily have to have passion behind what you do, that you can start a business just for the sole purposes of making money. And I'm just sort of in disagreement with that.
Yeah.
It just for me, myself, I feel like that you have to start with a purpose, a belief, a reason, what inspires you, what is that thing? What is that thing? And I hate to sound cliche, but what is that thing that you would do absolutely for free? Because chances are you probably will for a few years until you start making some money.
Absolutely.
And that's my belief. But tell me, I mean, how do you feel about that?
I feel exactly the same way you do. And I come across people who say the same thing. You can just start businesses just for the sake of making money. And maybe at a point when you're a billionaire, businesses are starting up in your company that you know nothing about that are bringing in income streams. I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking about an entrepreneur who just starts a business. I think you absolutely have got to have passion for it, because there are going to be a lot of lean years. Count on it. Count on that. At least 24 months. And you got to have a passion for doing what you're doing and being able to believe into that dream.
That's the thing. If there's no passion there, if I'm not truly invested, if I haven't sailed across to this foreign land and absolutely burned the ships that brought me over, if I haven't made that level of commitment to my business, as soon as I run into tough times, what do you think I'm going to do?
You quit.
I'm going to bail.
Yeah,
I'm going to run. I'm going to retreat. I'm going to go back to corporate America. I'm going to go back to this small life that I absolutely hated before I started my business.
That's
So
right.
I truly believe, and we're going to get Jim to come on this show and talk to us about that, because I always love debating with him on that topic. But the thing is, I do believe that you have to have that passion, and I think it starts with your why, which is one of the things that we talked about yesterday. And the two people who inspired us most as it related to having a big enough why to do, you said Simon Sinek, who you can go on to TED TV or YouTube and put his name in there. He has a wonderful 18-minute talk on why. Or you can get really old school and go back and buy some of the cassette tapes of a gentleman by the name of James E. Tollison, who was the first person I ever heard, and he talked about this in the late 70s, early 80s. He said, you got to have a big enough why to. The why you do something is always more important than the how or the what.
No, yeah, absolutely. Because you can figure out the how.
Yeah.
That's the nuts and bolts are easy. I can figure out this part goes here, but unless you have the inspiration to even pick up the pieces,
that's right,
you're not going to do it. And so I think you were talking about you got to have the why, because when you first hit trouble, you're going to quit. I think if you don't have the why, you are in an unresourceful state anyway.
I like that.
And when that issue comes to you, you got nowhere to go. When you have your why, you can pull resources from out of thin air.
That's right.
And so you're in a much better place mentally, emotionally, socially, when you're dialed into what your why is. Absolutely.
And one of the things that Tollison said on his tapes those many years ago is he said, how many times have you been in a situation where something bad happened in your life, and I mean bad from an economic standpoint, and you had to come up with $300 or $400 to put on your rent. You didn't know how you were going to do it.
Mhm.
You didn't know where you were going to get it from. All you knew is that you had to do it.
Yeah.
And when faced with those types of, I'm going to say opportunities.
Yeah, I totally buy into that.
Yeah, when you're faced with an opportunity in that fashion, that there's a level of greatness that comes out of us that I think that we don't pay attention enough to, and we don't work hard enough on bringing that level of harmony out of ourselves, if you know what I mean.
That's why I love to say that everybody likes to be called out. Everybody wants a coach or a mentor or a compatriot who has their best interest at heart, that calls them out on a regular basis.
Surely.
That doesn't tell them, you can hit the back door, you can get out of this, and hit the escape hatch anytime you want to. People that hold us accountable, because I think in the challenge, in the adversity, is where the sweetness comes out. Because how do you ever get to who you want to be unless you bloodied your nose off enough?
That's the only real way that you know that you ever find out who you really are.
And that's only some questions can only be answered in adversity.
Oh my goodness, yeah, and I've answered a few of those, especially as it relates to chopping wood and we'll say toting water.
Toting water. Spoken like a farm boy.
Absolutely, because I am definitely a farm boy at heart. When we come back, we're gonna elaborate a little bit more on your why too, and then we're gonna sort of segue that into originality, because as you know, that most people feel like there has to be some level of originality to what I'm doing, or how I'm doing it, or I'm not really on the path to success. And so I want to either dispel or confirm those rumors.
Absolutely.
My co-host today is Mr. Bertrand McHenry. He is the owner of a company called Referral Institute of Houston. You can go to his website if you'd like to connect with him at
www.referralinstitutehouston.com.
And if they want to give you a phone call, Bertrand?
At 281-401-9852.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Small Business Today magazine. It is the magazine that is for and about Houston's entrepreneurs. If you want to know who the movers and shakers are in the city of Houston, we encourage you to go to www.smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com. Put your information in. We'll send you a free copy of it every single month to your email inbox. Stay with us. More in a moment with Bertrand and John Cruz.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, John Cruz, and our co-host for the rest of this week is Mr. Bertrand McHenry. He is the owner of a company called the Referral Institute of Houston. And if you have been watching the show for the past couple days, and you know that our co-host, Urban Hughes, is a little ill this week, and we wish him a speedy recovery, Urban, if you're watching this. So get back into bed and take care of yourself, cover up, and we'll see you next week. Now, we were talking a little bit about what happens when you get started. Where do I get started? How do I start this thing? Because starting a business can really be intimidating.
Very.
And we're talking about getting started with your why. Why is it that you want to do it? And then once you find out what it is that you want to do, you got to figure out why is it that you're doing that. Right. I mean, and truthfully, your why is what people buy.
Right.
It's not your what. Mm-hmm. It's not your how. It's your why. And that's one of the things that Bertrand mentioned on yesterday, and I thought was just so apropos for us to talk about today as we start the show. Now, let's talk about what your why cannot be, because some people associate their whys with well, I want to be financially free. Mm-hmm. I want to own my own schedule.
Right.
Do you think that's a strong enough why?
I don't think that's not the whys that I'm talking about when we dig down in and find out why you're doing this particular business. Mm-hmm. I think, the gentleman you were talking about that said you can start a business just to make money and run it. I would argue that guy really has a passion for being an entrepreneur for whatever reason. And if we talk to him long enough, we'd find out what that is. Because I'm telling you, you have to have some kind of passion and drive that's unbelievable to get through, because entrepreneurs are special people. Otherwise, you could go right back into corporate America and just do your thing.
Right. Just go back to your cubicle.
No, you know as well as I do. We're up at 4 a.m. Sometimes we can't sleep because an idea is trying to give birth, and that takes up a lot of good quality time we could be using sleeping and getting energy.
Absolutely. Sometimes I've actually have been awakened by a powerful idea, and it's so much so that I have to get up and start writing, start researching, start doing something for fear that I'll lose it,
or you can't let it go.
I can't get off of it,
and it's part of being the special quality of being an entrepreneur. It's a very unique lifestyle, and it's one I recommend to everybody, but not everybody can handle it.
Yeah.
So the why we're talking about, there's two sets of whys. You can do, why am I doing this business? Well, I'm doing this business because I want to own my own schedule. I want to travel. I want to drive the Corvette.
Yeah.
I feel that those things are such transactional, temporary things that they don't really drive us. They're great window dressing, but I'm not going to get up at 4 a.m. just so I can own a Corvette or travel to Italy.
Right.
I'm going to do something because I have something deep down in my gut that forces me to express this particular message in the marketplace.
When you say that, I'm reminded of, I used to love watching the show Buds, and it was the show about Navy men going through SEAL training.
Right.
And one of the shows that I'm reminded of, one of the guys on the show kept trying to DOR, which means drop on request. He kept trying to quit, but they would not allow him to quit because he was one of the best performers in the class. He was one of the guys that was just, I don't want to say breezing through, because that's not the type of training that you breeze through.
Exactly.
But in correlation to his counterparts, he was doing much better with the training. And finally, after I think the third or fourth time, he just walked away and turned around and came right back and quit again. And they went ahead and they let him quit. And they asked him, they said, well, you were doing so well, why did you quit? And he just said, you know what? I just realized that I don't want it this bad. Because think about it, for several weeks on end, you're cold, wet, hungry, and sleep deprived. And you're having to do highly technical operations, be able to think under pressure, be able to exert your body to levels that you probably aren't accustomed to all the time while you're cold, wet, hungry, and sleep deprived.
So this is the entrepreneur experience in the first 2 years?
I would say so. I would say so. So the thing is that you really, and the guy who was doing the worst, this was his third tour during SEAL training. Once he'd been dropped, I can't remember what the reason was. The second time he was dropped because of an injury, and they made him start all over again after being there like 12 weeks. Yeah. And then he came back again, and they asked him at graduation, why did you not quit? And he said, because I was simply born to do this.
Yeah, golly.
And
That's
and,
awesome.
and I just stood up on the couch and I'm like, you know what? That's me.
Exactly.
And as it relates to entrepreneurship, that's the why. You have to feel something has to move you in that regard, I believe, for you to truly be able to get your idea, truly be able to get your corporation to the level of success, because a lot of people have to buy in for you to be successful at anything.
No doubt. And that guy apparently knew he was a SEAL before he ever was a SEAL.
Right.
I mean, he knew it ahead of time.
That's right.
I mean, he was cut out to be that shape and that form and take that be that entity. That's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I think you have got to feel like there's something in me that's got to be an entrepreneur. I've heard writers say, I was going to die if I couldn't write.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to die if I couldn't write. Well, I was going to die if I couldn't own my own business and be in the marketplace and do my own thing, because for me it feels like ownership. It feels presidential. It feels creative. It feels very expressive because it's who I was meant to be as an entrepreneur.
And I love that, you know, and that has to also be your plight. Maybe not those words,
right?
But you have to find those words that truly describe why you're doing it. For myself, I call myself a fisher of men. You know, I like to transform and change the lives of other people. That's why I love to speak publicly.
Right. That's
That's why I do what I do, is because I want to make a difference. I want to show you how great you actually are. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about originality.
Okay.
Because I've had some people who believe that, you know, they come to me and they say, John, you know, I'm thinking that I should do this, but there's absolutely nothing original about what this is. And I don't know that I should do this. So what's your thought on originality? Should I sit back and wait until I think of something that I'm the first to market with, or the person that's first to bring to the world?
You're going to be 80 before you figure that out. If you wait, if you're waiting for inspiration to hit you, I'm going to tell you, I have this theory that I think action begets results. And so let's say this is not the best ideal business that you could think of to start, but you want to be an entrepreneur so bad. I say pull the trigger, get in that business, start running with it, because in the moving forward, movement is everything. Being ambulatory and moving forward is critical to life. I mean, think about it. If you sit in order to be depressed, you actually have to do some things. You got to sit down. You got to collapse.
Takes work.
It does. I mean, you got to look down at the ground, cast your eyes down, breathe shallow. Moving inspires ideas. It inspires the next thing. You know, what is the next thing? I have no idea what the next thing is for you, but I know that if you're moving forward, you're going to run into it. And there's an opportunity right there that you wouldn't have seen if you weren't in business and trying to make something happen.
You know what? And there's so many examples of that in business, where people who started out doing one thing and it turned into something altogether different, but it would have never turned into this refined product had they not started where they were with what they had.
Normal hasn't worked up to this point, so you got to do something outrageous and kind of out on the edge, which is pull the trigger and start a business. Get into it.
So don't worry about originality.
I don't think so, unless you've got something that has struck you and you're trying to perfect it, and you've got an advisory board that's leading you in that direction, and you're moving.
Yeah.
You're already moving and taking action. But to sit on the couch and trying to think of this idea that's going to be perfect for you is nonsense. I think just pay your dues, do your internship, start a business, and get going with it.
And you know what? The best thing is to start fast.
I think so.
You know, and I don't know who it is that says fail fast, fail often, and you know, just it's sort of get that out of the way. You know, and my brother is a major in the Army, and one of the things that he refers to, you know, his first few years as an enlisted man, he calls it the suck. You know, you got to make it through the suck, and then after you make it through that, then it's smooth sailing. You know, it's very good.
Yeah,
and that's part of it. Don't worry about originality, because me myself, I have never had an original idea or thought that has ever crossed my mind.
Right. At
some point, somehow, somewhere, I've taken another. I think I am the 3M of. Of ideas. Yeah. You know, and so I'll take a good idea and make it better in the sense that I can make it work better for myself or for my market.
Right.
And but just to sit back and wait on something to come through that's completely and totally original, I don't even know what that feels like.
I just think there's something magical about taking action on a regular basis, because let's say it's a mediocre business, but it's an extraordinary action. I mean, you're expressing yourself in your life the way you should be, and it may not be the vehicle that you want. You'll find that it doesn't come by sitting on the couch and Googling ideas and business. That's never going to happen. The only way it's going to happen is to just start something. There's beauty in starting. There's beauty in taking bold action and moving forward with it, and you will run into and be inspired by something that you're meant to do.
I have a young lady that I just spoke to about a month or so ago, and she is in Arkansas, and she says that she wants to break into a particular type of business, and I'll go ahead and say it, wedding planning is what she wants to do. But she says that I really can't find like a school that teaches that or some type of curriculum. And she was like, I really want to do this, but I just don't know where to start. So I said, well, how bad do you want to do it? She says, I mean, just bad. I mean, I really want to do this. I said, well, I'll tell you what. Do you know who the largest wedding planner is in your town? So she names off a couple people that are, probably 1 and 2 in terms of size.
Right.
I say, now send both of them your credentials and tell them how bad you want to do this and that you're going to do it absolutely for free. Now, there was a moment of pause, and then she asked, well, how am I going to take care of myself? I don't know. I mean, you'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But my thing is that if you truly want to do this, then step out there and do it. Now, by all intents and purposes, you have no children. You don't have a husband. Now is the time to do that. Figure it out. Maybe do that and work at McDonald's. But if you want to get in, you want to learn.
Right.
What better place to learn than with the number one company that's in your town, and then doing the absolute thing that you say that you're most passionate about? Do it for free.
Do it for free. Let them see how great you are.
And actually, it's not for free. It's on scholarship. So I mean,
that's a great term.
You're getting all of that education. So now I haven't heard back from her. I told her to follow back up with me and let me know how things went. And I haven't heard from her in about a month. So we'll see what happens. Guys, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, which is brought to you by Sales Nexus. If you need a quality CRM that is guaranteed to assist you and help you increase your sales for your business or your operation, you definitely want to give Sales Nexus a look. You can go to www.salesnexus.com and put your information in. They'll let you try the software out for free. Guys, stick with us. The education continues in a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ad targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And its alternative is
Coffee News. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free.
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for Coffee News. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's Coffee News.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan.
There's a storm coming.
The legend ends in IMAX.
What are you? I'm Gotham directed.
The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Welcome back to the show. If you're watching us on our live feed, you're looking at myself and Bertrand McHenry. Bertrand is the president of the Referral Institute of Houston. He is sitting in this week for our ill compadre, Mr. Urban Hughes, and we're wishing Urban a speedy recovery, get better, and come on back to the show. We need you here, sir. Now, we're talking about getting started as a small business. We're talking about where do I begin, especially if I know the direction that I want to go in, just like the young lady that we talked about in Arkansas who wants to be a wedding planner.
Right.
And she listens to the show, and she reached out to me and she said, well, I just can't figure out a way to get into this business. And the way to get in is don't charge anything for your services, because what do you know anyway? You don't know anything about wedding planning. You have no credentials. Go in and volunteer your time and keep your mind completely open and your mouth completely shut, and you will learn enough, I think, to start your own business. And I think it's in sync with what you're saying. Pull the trigger. Get started. Start wherever you can. And if you're looking for something to do or looking for a way to get into whatever it is that you want to do, start doing it for free. Find somebody that you can do it for and volunteer. Give them free hours. My mother wanted to be she wanted to own a kolache company or a kolache shop. And she found a guy who owned the kolache shop. She made my brother and I work there for free along with her. And after several months of doing that, she realized that, you know what? I don't want it that bad. I don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. and start working on dough and doing all those things aside from running a business. But the thing is, she didn't spend any money to find that out.
Right.
She spent a little time. And the free child labor that she had at home.
Which is probably illegal, but that's another story. But you're right. I mean, it's an internship, and it's your offering to the marketplace to learn how to do that. But there's a couple of other things that happen when you do that. One is you make these amazing relationships with the people who are running those businesses, and don't think they're not going to talk about you in the marketplace in a good way if you do such a great job. But also, you may not be getting paid, but you're getting free advertisement. You're getting in the marketplace doing an excellent job and excellent work, and people are noticing it and they're seeing it. Your name is on their lips.
That's right.
They're talking about you. You're helping to create buzz about when you get ready to launch your own entity.
Right.
Now you've got some references and you've got a population of people who are talking about you.
At the break, we talked about the first job that I ever took in the mortgage business was done under those same pretenses. I knew nothing about the mortgage business, and I volunteered my time. I worked at a company, and I worked diligently. I was there on time. I stayed late. I did all the things that a person who was getting paid should do.
Right.
And one of the things that my boss came up and told me is he said that he looked at what I was doing at that company as though I was a partner. And when it came time to promote and push somebody up the ranks, he chose me.
Who do you think he'd choose?
He chose me. Yeah. He said that with absolutely no compensation, you've demonstrated the types of qualities that I can't pay people for in this business. And that has stood out to me from day one. So my thing is that if you want to be head and shoulders above everybody else, do something like that. Do something. Now, that's not original, but it is something that you don't see often. Right. Doing something for free and with the right positive mental attitude, and it paid off huge dividends for me. I learned how to run a mortgage banking business from front to back. He completely trusted me,
right?
And that was the basis of the knowledge that I used to start my own companies and do my own thing.
And that's the principle that we talk about a lot of times in sales. You can't stand in front of an empty fireplace and say, "Hey, give me some heat." You actually got to go get the wood, put a match to it, work with the kindling to get it going.
That's right.
So there's something that you have to do before things show up, and that is
work.
Work. We talked about it yesterday. It's the magic ingredient.
Man,
I mean,
and there's no way around it. I mean, if you continue to sit back and try to figure out how to skirt the effort, or how to get the most in return for the least in output, I think you really shortchange yourself.
You're always hurting yourself. You're always coming out on the short end of that deal every single time. Look at the people who, and we've all known them, people who have tried to short circuit the system or hit the easy button or find the way around it without doing the hard work. They're always lacking.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always in lack in their life, in financially, materially, in their relationships. They're always in a state of lack, always. But they're always looking for the shortcut. Still, in the middle of their lacking, they're still looking for the shortcut. And when you give yourself over to the wine press and just work yourself silly and let those imperfections squeeze out of you, you become something more than.
You know what? And I tell you what, you also lack is the respect of your peers and your colleagues. And I think that is absolutely paramount for you to have as a leader, because in your own organization, you are going to be looked at as the leader. And there's nothing worse than to have a company or have a small business, and the people that you employ or the people that you depend on to work with you do not have a level of respect for you because you're that type of person that's always looking for the easy way out. I say lead by example, and the leader jumps in first and leads from the front. That's my feeling.
I agree with that. Leader jumps in front, shoulders most of the load until someone takes some of it off of him. You may find somebody who wants to share that load with you, but in the beginning, you're willing to carry the entire thing.
Absolutely.
And just trudge along with that. You are the torchbearer. You bear the banner.
That's right.
Of your own corporation. You Inc.
You Inc. That's right. And and I'm telling you, it's not pretty sometimes. But I think that it's so fulfilling. And there's nothing that shows you who you are more than when, in the face of adversity, when you do not have the answers, you press forward, you do all that you know to do, and things end up working out, and you feel that, man, I made it.
I mean, we all want to be called out. I've said that before. We all want an opportunity to be on some field of battle where much is required of us.
Certainly.
And that question is, do you answer that call to courage? With courage. And it happens in boxing. It happens in the football field. I'm not in those arenas. I'm in the business arena. I'm in the entrepreneurial arena. And in some ways, it's more taxing because it requires so much, not just physically, emotionally, socially, mentally. You got to be on your game up here on a regular basis. And those questions are asked repeatedly daily and answered, for better or for worse.
And if you have a spouse, believe me, you are making a sale every day, especially when business isn't coming through the door.
Right.
Especially when one is saying, hey, you should quit this and do something else.
That's right.
That's not the answer. Let's talk about the power of you.
Yeah.
You mentioned something called You Inc. And I believe that a person's success begins and ends with them, not who the sitting president is, although I am not saying do not go out and vote. So if you've missed early voting, you should go out and cast your ballot. But if you're a small business person, it doesn't matter if Barack Hussein Obama is the president or if Mitt Romney is the president. You still are faced with a certain type of issues and problems that you have to overcome to be successful. It doesn't matter if the market is good or bad. You have to look at yourself as being the catalyst of your success. And I don't care if the market, there was the largest transformation of wealth happened during the Depression when most people went broke in this country. And so if somebody's winning, somebody's losing. And if somebody's losing, somebody's winning. You have to fix your own mind that you are going to be successful. And part of that, Bertrand, starts with knowing who you are and how powerful you actually are.
Man, I tell you, this is a great subject because the scales of justice are never going to be balanced out for everybody ever. It's just not going to work out that way. It doesn't matter who's in office. It's never going to happen that way. What is going to happen is I'm going to balance it out in my own head, in my own game. I'm going to balance it out for myself. I've got 100 times more issues up here to deal with than the government ever has to deal with to get it right for me. But that is a subject that's your specialty. I mean, the you question is absolutely your specialty, and I love this is a discussion we've had several times, and I love it every single time. Every time we talk about it, you take me on a journey about the power of you. So I'm gonna turn it around on you. I mean, tell me about people struggle with that all the time. And as a business owner, since those things bubble to the surface so quickly because you're faced with you so often, you're not faced with the economy, you're faced with you.
Yeah.
When John goes out in the marketplace, you're faced with John's stuff.
That's right.
And you got to get through that. So how do they overcome that?
Well, it's been my experience that the first thing that you have to do is establish who you are. And if you are a Christian, if you are someone who believes in the Bible, I'm going to share with you the same lesson that was shared with me. Now, I didn't follow this lesson, and I had a hard road to hoe for 4 years as I went another way. And one of the things that my mentor shared with me is he said that, John, you, sir, call yourself a Christian. You say that you believe in God. He says that go to Genesis 1:27. He said that is the most powerful scripture in the Bible. And then I'm going to tell you what the second most powerful one is after the break. But he says, go to that and tell me exactly what it says. And basically, in short, it says that let us make man in
our image.
Our image, and our is referring to God. And God is talking about making man in his image. So if you take 5 words that describe God, most omnipotent, most high, most powerful, agape love, creative, you name what the words are. That helps you understand the concept to our understanding of what God, the power that God possesses. Then you take the 5 words that you would use to describe yourself. And when I was talking to my mentor, I didn't use those same 5 words. I used other words. He says, well, in Genesis 1:27, if your Bible says that you are made in the image of God, then you are in essence God in its physical form. And so why can't you overcome these problems? Why can't you create a better existence for yourself? Why can't you manifest something to take you from this state that you're in right now? We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll pick that conversation right back up. Our guest, or our co-host today, is Mr. Bertrand McHenry. He's the president of a company called the Referral Institute of Houston. And Bertrand, if they want to connect with you, they can go to
www.referalinstitutehouston.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, which is brought to you by Small Business Today magazine and Sales Nexus. To get your free issue of the magazine that we produce every single month about Houston's entrepreneurs, go to smallbusinesstodayMagazine.com, put your information in, and we'll send one to your email inbox every single month. More in a moment with Cruz and McHenry.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? You wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are. Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cuny is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancuny.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, Disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is
Coffee News. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free.
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for Coffee News. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's Coffee News.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan,
There's a storm coming.
the legend ends in IMAX.
What are you? I'm Gotham's Reckoning.
The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Bertrand and myself are talking about the power of you, and we're talking about those things associated with the thought process that you have to have in order to be successful, in my opinion. And this is based on my own experience. And these are the lessons that were taught to me by my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that Genesis 1:27 was the most powerful scripture in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and it defined who you were as a person. And so by now knowing that, it's incumbent upon you to be who you were created to be.
Right.
But if we look at life itself, most of us spend more time being who we were conditioned to be. And that's why we have that feeling of lack, that self-doubt, those self-limitations. Am I smart enough? Am I cute enough? Am I head too heavy? Am I too black? Am I too, you go on and on and on and on with all of these excuses that are imposed upon you by society.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the point to where you recognize who you are, you become free of all of those self-imposed limitations. And now you have the burden of being what you were created to be.
Right.
And that burden fell upon me. Now, we went to the next scripture in the Bible that he said was the second most powerful scripture. He says, because you had all these thousands of years before Jesus came, and then most of us would say that Jesus is arguably the most powerful man, the most righteous man to ever walk the earth.
Right.
And we talk about all these great things that he did. The Bible mentions all these great things that he did. But if you go to John 14:12, it says that Jesus, the words are, verily, verily, I say unto you that any man who believeth on me shall do greater works than these. And he's talking about greater works than the ones that the greatest man who we say has ever traversed the earth has done.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that if you think this is good, you're going to do even better than this.
Right.
So the first scripture, the first chapter, first book of the Bible tells you who you are,
Right.
and whose you are. And then the John, we had to go all the way to John, which is in the
New Testament.
Has to reconfirm that lesson that was given to us at the beginning of time, so that we cannot forget who we are. And every other scripture in the Bible, it, to some degree, basically proves those two scriptures through faith and through actions, how God and man work together harmoniously.
Right.
There's no difference in your own life and in your own business than how Enoch operated, or how Job operated, or how you just have to recognize that you are the true physical essence of God, and stop looking outwardly for everything that you need, and look inwardly to who you really are. And once I believed in that, in 1 year, I took my business from failing, basically could not, my credit was terrible. I could not make the minimum monthly payment of a $30 credit card payment.
Wow.
And I went from that in March of 1999 to January 1 of 1999. I had 133 loan officer licenses on my wall. Ended up hiring 22 people. It was the first year I made over $1 million in income to myself. And that was the transformation. It wasn't the marketplace. It wasn't that I got any smarter. It wasn't that I raised any more money. It wasn't that some Congress act was passed to make it easier for me to do my business. The only change that happened to me that year was in between my 2 ears.
Exactly.
It was in my mind. And I turned everything around, and I stopped sitting on the sidelines thinking that I was a ship being tossed about, with no control over where life was taking it. And then I turned into something where I charted a course. This is the direction that I'm going. These are the people that I want to take with me. I went and got it. And it was that simple. I can't tell you how simple it was.
And all God's people said, amen. Because that's, like my preacher says, that message right there will preach. And I'm sure you've preached that before at a church.
I am not a preacher, but I have done that speech a couple times in a church. And I'm going to tell you, for some people, it's blasphemous to believe that we are the essence of God. I mean, it's no different than if you were to take that cup that you're drinking from and go scoop out, a cup full of ocean water. What you have in that cup is the essence of the power that exists in the ocean. What you have in that cup is the life source that keeps the whale alive. Is what you have in that cup.
Right.
So you're the cup.
Yeah.
And God has poured just a little bit of himself into you. So now you are the true essence of God. And in your business, it doesn't matter if you're undercapitalized. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to do something. It does not matter. Do the things that you can control. And what you can control is you. If you control that, everything else is going to fall in line. You just have to have that faith and believe.
I'll tell you what, you get on a roll, and I'm resisting the urge to go,
Well,
that's what I'm talking about. That's such a great, powerful message, and it's one that most entrepreneurs need to hear because that takes them off the hook. It's not all you. You have this power that you're infused with that can get so much done because when you believe like what you're talking about, you are in a very resourceful state. When you feel like it's only you against the world, you're in a very unresourceful state. You almost can't think of ideas to get you out of that situation.
Because you've given your power away.
You have.
And I'm asking you to rein in, take back your power. The power that if you're a Christian and you believe in the Bible, then, go with that. Believe God's word and believe who you are. Now go out here and be that. I'll tell you, one of the best business books that I ever read was Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. However, the first 5 times that I read the book, I did not understand the true message behind the book. I thought that Napoleon Hill was talking about material or physical riches.
Right.
And even in some of the stories, when he talked to Andrew Carnegie and Henry Ford and these men were very wealthy, so I'm thinking, these are the things that they did to get to the material riches. And really, it's not about material riches.
No.
It's really a metaphysical book. It's a book that tells you that you have to fix the you. You have to fix your mindset. And once you fix your mind, once you tune into the right station, then you're going to be able to receive the beautiful music that's playing. And that's what creates those material riches that he's talking about.
I think those material riches are just a reflection of what's going on internally.
Absolutely.
It's what manifests in your life when you're thinking the right way. And there's, you talk about Napoleon Hill. Read that. It's an excellent book. Read it many times. I heard Earl Nightingale say the greatest secret in the world. Did you ever hear that cassette tape, The Greatest Secret in the World?
Absolutely.
The greatest secret in the world is that you become what you think about all day long. You cannot plant nightshade in the ground and get corn. It's physically impossible. And the same thing is with our thought life and our spiritual life. You can't go around thinking, I stink, I've got the economy's not working for me, I'm out of options, and do well.
You cannot. Woe is me will be woe.
Always.
That's what you're going to experience. Right. I totally believe that. And if you haven't heard that, go to YouTube, put in Earl Nightingale, what is
the greatest secret in the world?
The greatest secret in the world, and it'll come right up. It's probably 12 minutes long,
awesome.
And it's probably the best 12 minutes that you'll spend this week. We're going to go to break, and we're going to come right back. Guys, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Small Business Today magazine and Sales Nexus. If you need a good CRM that can definitely help you turn sales around, give Sales Nexus a try. You can go to salesnexus.com, put your information in, and they will let you try it out for free. More in a moment with Bertrand and John.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan,
There's a storm coming.
the legend ends in IMAX. What are you?
I'm Gotham's reckoning.
The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Welcome back to the show. And if you're just joining in, I think that we've had a great conversation today. I encourage you to go to our website, which is www.cruzandhughes.com. You can listen to everything in its entirety by clicking on the archives that are right there for on the Blog Talk link on our homepage. You know, I've always said that I was not going to talk about those beliefs on the air. And then I had a conversation with my mentor, and he said that, John, if you don't do that, you're stepping away from who you are.
Right.
And one of the things that he said is that God is never going to not be God. So if you are saying that you are the essence of him, how are you going to explain not being that?
Boy, it's an integrity issue.
Yeah. And after listening to that, I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. He says, don't worry about who you offend. Don't worry about who doesn't hear the message. Don't worry. And it's kind of something that you mentioned the other day is that, you know, the ones that don't get it, they'll be so far on the outer edges that you don't see them coming or going anyway. And it's the same in our businesses.
Yeah, when you figure out what your why is, you have to speak your message.
That's right.
And when you speak your message, the more you speak it, the more impassioned you become. And when you speak that passion is going to – some people's antenna are already perked up listening for your message.
Yeah.
Because they feel the same way. When they hear it, they flock to you. Everyone else, they don't hear it necessarily.
Certainly.
And that's okay. You can't feed the entire world with your message. You can only feed this portion of the population with my message. And that's
right.
really all you need. There's enough to go around. And but you got to dial into that. You got to dial into you, Inc. You got to dial into get in touch with your creator.
Yeah.
And who you are as the creator and what your message is, and take it into the marketplace and let it go.
Well, I've enjoyed today's conversation. We'll get together again tomorrow. Guys, we want to thank you for tuning in to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. To get your copy of Small Business Today magazine, you know where you can go, smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com. It's about the movers and shakers in the entrepreneurial community right here in Houston, Texas. The message is relevant all across the country, so even if you're not in Houston, we encourage you to get it. Until tomorrow, be smart, be successful, and above all else, be in action. And Bertrand and I will see you tomorrow.